Bitcoin. So, we love to talk about Bitcoin on this show, and recently we've experienced kind of a lull in the Bitcoin price. Although, we're up, like, at least I'm up a decent amount already on my bets on various Bitcoin miners such as Bitfarms and CleanSpark that I made 3 weeks to a month ago. But yeah, lately it's been kind of just doing a whole lot of nothing in Bitcoin terms, right? So, one bit of news that I've seen that is kind of interesting that might be indicative of what the Bitcoin price does in the future, in the not too distant future, is that the VanEck Bitcoin ETF, which is the one with the ticker symbol HODL, it on Tuesday, February the 20th, saw a 14x increase in the average volume traded on that day. Um, so uh, actually, I have it as 14x, but actually, if you look at the image that I posted, somebody, like, I think the image was actually taken later on in the day, where at one point they were actually up like 38x the daily average volume from before. So on that day there was like a whole lot of shares of HODL being traded, and they actually weren't the only one. I think there was another ETF that had similar trading volume spikes as well, but this was the biggest one. So there's been people, like, tossing around hypotheses as to what's causing this. So one hypothesis is that there's been like an onboarding of a big institution, right? So a big institution got onboarded to like be able to trade this ETF, and maybe they only got, for whatever reason, they were only authorized to trade this ETF in particular. So they managed to, open it up to their institutional clients, and then they just went crazy with it. But to be honest, we don't actually know what's causing the spike in volume. Some people are saying, oh, it's just people dumping Bitcoins, people selling. Well, that doesn't seem like it's the case either, because the price, although it didn't it went down slightly on that day, if I remember, on Tuesday, it didn't go down by that much. So, like, the price movements of Bitcoin was very minimal that day, maybe only like a 2% down day, which, 2% sounds like a lot if you're in the S&P 500 index fund, but if you're in VFV, like our friend Dominic, but 2% on Bitcoin is like nothing. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of it. You guys have any hypotheses as to what's going on? And uh, what do you think? Where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going in the future? And do you think this is like a kind of a sign, an indicative sign of adoption, perhaps? Or what do you guys make of this story in general?
Wait, I just want to like initially clear a few things.
Mhm.
So, I was taking a look at HODL. So HODL is like not on the Nasdaq or anything. So if it's not on the Nasdaq, that means we can't buy it on our tax-free accounts. We would have to buy it on a cash account.
No, it's like part of it's on the New York Stock Exchange, right? So you should be able to find it in like any brokerage account.
Oh,
Uh,
so you can even invest even if it's a TFSA
yeah,
or
you can use your TFSA to buy it, but it'll be in US dollars because it's US listed. But yeah, there's nothing stopping Canadians from buying it in a
um
registered account or a non-registered account.
I see. I guess to like answer your other questions, I don't think it's impossible that Bitcoin is eventually going to reach 100K. I think if you think of like a span of 5 years, like why the heck not? I think there might be a little bit of bumpiness, like pre having to having, but I mean, if you just hold on, it'll be fine. Like I think everyone who's not in it at all is doing themselves like a huge injustice. And then I guess, um, what is it? They're like increasing their volume. Is that what it is? Like
Yeah,
this.
so the volume is basically like how many shares are traded throughout the day. And on that day in particular, because as you can see from the picture, the usual volume is like only 170 something thousand shares trade hands per day. but on that day 6.8 million shares traded hands. So it's like a multi-fold increase in the amount of shares being traded. And the price of Bitcoin pretty much didn't move that day. So it's kind of strange, right? Like usually we see big volume spikes on big price movements as well, either up or down, right? So if it's down, then people panic sell, and that's what causes the volume to spike. And then if the price goes up, then people FOMO in, and then that causes the price to spike. But on that day, it was just very particular because it was this ETF in particular that experienced the biggest spike. And I think again there was another one that had a spike as well, but not nearly as big. And the price of Bitcoin pretty much didn't move that day. So it's just what do you think is going on?
I mean, it's hard to say. Maybe like there's something that we don't know, and then people do know. But I think one thing's for certain. Like, I think you're totally doing yourself an injustice if you're not in Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but like if you don't want to be a part of the train, you're crazy. Like, I'll say that. I mean, this like random volume on like a random day with no fluctuations is a sign. Like maybe at least get on. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Like it's like again, that goes back to the thesis that I said earlier, right? Maybe like institutions and big high net worth clients are waking up, and then maybe this ETF in particular got onboarded onto like a private wealth fund or something, and then all of a sudden, like rich high net worth clients are able to flood in. But yeah, Tristan, let me pass it to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a fairly bullish sign. More volume on the ETF means more activity, and more activity that doesn't result in significant volatility is good for general adoption, because most people look at the volatility of Bitcoin and are scared off. Well, clearly this is more of a sign that there has been a lot of action in the Bitcoin space on that day without a significant amount of additional movement, which could be indicating that there is a reduced issue of big whale movements moving Bitcoin significantly. So I think that's probably a good sign, particularly for long-term adoption. And I'd say that's generally bullish. And I think that Bitcoin is definitely on the uptrend. I think that will be. I would be surprised if we don't crack an all new high. If not pre-halving, then post-halving. So it's definitely going to be on the uptrend, or at least in my opinion, it will be going on the uptrend. Not financial advice, but I definitely have high expectations, and I think that this is just another the ETF, and this movement is just another sign that more people are adopting it. And as more people adopt, it's a feedback loop. Every time more people adopt, people see it, price goes up. More people adopt, people see that, the price goes up. More people adopt, and we're quickly hitting that snowball effect where it becomes as Dom is kind of alluding to, it becomes disadvantageous to yourself to not be exposed to the industry, because of the fact that if this feedback loop continues to happen, you will not be able to enjoy the benefits of the growth. So yeah.
Yeah,
Hop on the train before it's too late.